So let's start out talking about how my summer training went. And in this video, I'm going to try and be as brutally honest as possible. How my summer training went, how I felt about these meets. If you guys want to see the playlist that has all the race vlogs, I'll make sure to leave it down below. Make sure to leave a link down below for that. So let's start out talking about how my summer training went. Again, going to be brutally honest. My summer training didn't really go great. I think I was averaging like 740s, 730s on distance runs. Didn't hit sub 7 pace on distance runs till probably like the last 2 weeks. And running 730s, 740s, like that felt way tougher than it should have been. It should have ever been. And during the track season, sub 7 pace was kind of like the standard pace. Sometimes maybe go like 650 pace a little bit. I was just like, why aren't I running faster? I think it was because my legs were tired. I was running way more mileage, but also I think it had a little bit to do. They were a little bit tired from running 6 months straight to prepare for the track season. So I think physically, maybe even a little bit mentally, maybe needed to have maybe a little bit more recharge. But overall, summer training was not great. Didn't feel great. It was pretty tough. Still got a ton of miles in, but it was still pretty tough for me. After summer training, going into the first 2 weeks of college training, I remember the first practice, I was humbled. I got dropped for the first time in 4 years. It was definitely a big step up from the mileage from summer training to during the season. We were doing double runs three times a week, so it was definitely a different training than what I was doing during the summer. Overall, I was just trying to get through and getting the miles in. And at my first race after those 2 weeks, and it was a 4-mile race. The course wasn't too bad. I probably ran one of my best races of the season, one of the first meet of the season. I think I ran like 23:01 maybe for 4 miles. Almost beat one of my teammates at the line. And beat another teammate of mine at the line. And overall, that was a good race. I was happy with it. I was going into my second meet with a ton of confidence. Had 2 really good workouts going into that second meet of the season. And then during that second meet, I tried to stick with the guys I was working out with. And I stuck with them for probably about 2.5 to maybe probably like 2.5 miles. And then I was dealing with some lower leg pain that was really bad, like probably a 7 to an 8 maybe. For me, I just tried to grind out that race. I ended up finishing it. There was points where I wanted to just drop out, but I didn't. I just ended up finishing the race. And after that race, I was just not very happy. I think I ran like 31:41. And I think the course was 200 meters short, so what my time would have been like 31 minutes. And just wasn't happy after that meet. It was my worst race in 2 years. And just was really deflating, to be honest, because I went in with a ton of confidence, and to come up with that performance, second meet of the season, I was just not feeling great after that. So finished that meet, and then 3 days later, what ended up happening was we did a workout and I ended up not finishing it. After that, did an appointment with the trainer for the next morning. Basically, I ended up having to take 2 days off because of that lower leg pain. I was on the bike for 2 days. And after that, surprisingly, I didn't really deal with a ton of lower leg pain. Like, the pain was, if there was pain, it was manageable pain that I could deal with. After that, had 2 weeks of solid training. I don't think it wasn't great training, but it was definitely solid training. And going into that third meet of the season, I kind of just wanted redemption, just to run like a better time, compete well and stuff like that. And I feel like I did compete well, and I did run a faster time than I did the second meet of the season. But for me, I knew there was more that I just wasn't showing. Overall, that third meet of the season, it was definitely a step in the right direction, but it just wasn't great, and kind of left that meet a little unsatisfied with that too. So After that third meet, again, 2 weeks of training. I think those 2 weeks, they were 65 to 60 miles a week, something like that. Then went into the fourth meet of the season, and that's where I had my best 8K race in my life. I mean, that was the best. When I look at all the 8Ks I ran, that was the best one I ran. In that one, I was way more mentally tougher. I competed better. Overall, that was my best. That was my best race of the season. I think I ran like 29:20. Which still after that, I was like, I know I know my time is better than 29:20, but it was still like a big step in the right direction for me, considering I hadn't broken 30 yet in the 8K, and I was decently close to breaking 29. I know I competed better. I knew I did a bunch of things better than I did the previous two meets. So that, honestly, that was a big step in the right direction. And then after that, we had our conference meet, and in conference, I think I ran like 30:02. I was so close to sub 30 minutes. I was really sprinting down that line. I don't think going into that race I drank enough water, and I feel like I got a little bit dehydrated. 2 miles out from the 8K, 1 mile out, I could really feel it. All I remember is somebody saying that I had to run like 5:50 my last mile in order to break 30 minutes, and for me, that was what was keeping me mentally in that race, just trying to break that 30 minutes. And I didn't end up breaking it, but mentally, that's the attitude I try to have. I try to really break 30 minutes, and again, that was a solid race, but again, I really was hoping for a time drop from that 29:20, and I was just not necessarily happy with that race either. So, in one word, how I would characterize my cross-country season is, I would say I'm unsatisfied with how my cross-country season went. I feel like there was definitely way more time drop that I could have had. I feel like with all the work I put in, I was running, my last 6 weeks were over 60 miles a week. There was 1 week I hit like 70.9, so I was running really good mileage. My workouts were really good. One of my two best workouts, they were 5 by mile. It was like 5:47, 5:46, 5:47, 5:45, 5:45, 5:43, and then I closed in 5:27. And then I also did 5 by a K3. So I think the first one was like sub 3:32 or sub 3:30, and then it was like 3:31, 3:33, 3:33. So right about like 3:33 per K, which was 7 seconds faster than what my best 1K workout ever was beforehand. I knew my workouts, I knew the stuff I was doing, I knew the miles I was running, and it was just frustrating for me not to be running faster than what I was running. And for me, I think I would say the number one, I wasn't as mentally tough as I should have been. When I was racing, I just wasn't locked in. There wasn't a race where everything just clicked into place and I was locked in. And even when I'm not locked in, I should be running faster. But I would say that's something that never happened. 2, I was not being competitive as I wanted to. When somebody passed me, I didn't make an effort to try and pass them. Number 3, I wasn't running hills very well. Hills were getting to me. I talked about this throughout every single race vlog I did. Gotta get mentally tougher on hills, and I gotta do way more hills during the summer. So that's another thing. Those are really the 3 main things. I just want to be more competitive, mentally tougher, want to do more hills, so that way hills don't get to me next year. And mentally and competitively, I want to be competing. I want to be running fast times. I want to be with the people I'm working out with. And I just feel a little bit more motivated, and I'm ready to change the mistakes I made during the cross-country season. And I'm honestly just ready for this indoor track season. With that, everybody, that is how my first collegiate cross-country season went. Try to be as brutally honest as possible here. That's what I try and do on my YouTube channel. I don't want to just show the highs. I also want to show the lows. I had a lot of highs throughout my running career during my last year of high school. If you guys have been there from the beginning, you guys were able to witness that, seeing how good of a track season I did for me, considering where I started sophomore year, to have the time drops I had, to be as competitive as I was my senior year. Overall, feeling good where I'm going in an indoor track. Hopefully it's going to be a good indoor track season. With that though, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, like this video, turn those post notifications on to see how well my indoor track season is. I talked about how my cross country season is, so turn those post notifications on to see how well my track season is. And also make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Strava. With that though, I'm going to sign off like I always do. The grind never stop.